Hello, hello, everyone. I am so excited to chat with you guys. This is the Quit Your Day Job series. Now, normally you are seeing Rachel's face here during the Quit Your Day Job series, but Rachel is closing on a house today, and I'm so excited. I said, let me take this one, and then I get to talk to Sheree anyways. So that is very exciting for me because you guys are about to meet one lovely human who has been able to replace her income with virtual assistants, hitting consistent 5K months, is dreaming about the future. We were just talking a little bit about that before we jumped on. And so I think that these are really cool opportunities for you guys to, for some of you who are maybe in the beginning stages of your business, to ask a VA who's done the thing, right? Who has launched. She just hired her first subcontractor, asking questions about how does this really work, right? Or maybe you're in the growing phase, or maybe you're in the scaling phase, and you just want to pick the brain of somebody who's right in the middle of this. This is that opportunity. So I have some questions prepared, but of course, we love for these to be interactive. So you guys drop questions in the comments below. It's going to be a really, really good time. So, Sheree, how are you doing
Hi,
today?
Abby. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm like I said earlier, nervous-sided, but it's going to be great. So
It's
I'm
going to
excited.
be so good. Well, let's do this. Why don't you just start off with telling everybody a little bit about your business as it is right now, a little bit about you, your business. We'll go into the past and talk about how you got to where you are, but let's do
Okay.
some bragging time. I know everybody loves bragging about themselves. No one loves it, but I'm going to make you do it because you've been able to do some really cool things in your business. So tell us a little bit about your business as it is right now.
Thank you. Yeah, so right now I have quite a few clients. I think I'm at 10 clients, which some days is crazy, but I am just working probably close to 40 hours a week, maybe a little more. I just hired my first subcontractor, like you said, and she is awesome. And yeah, I'm just rolling with the punches and doing the work. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've done it. Oh my goodness. I'm sure already people have questions. I have questions. I'm like, oh, I want to know about this and this and this. But let's turn back the page a little bit because I want to know, we're gonna like start at the beginning, kind of walk through your journey because I think
Okay.
that's really helpful. So let me know a little bit about like before you discovered virtual assistants at all, what were you doing? What type of work were you in? How did you kind of come across virtual assistants and decide that this was potentially for you?
Yeah. So going sort of way back, I worked as a project coordinator for a local contractor here in Kansas City, where I live and where I'm from. And I loved that job. I loved just the variety of work and the people I worked with, and just really loved it. But had kids and wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and so I left that role and stayed home for about 10 years. And then when my husband and I mean, I did some other like little things along the way. I had an Etsy shop that I made mixed media art. I tried selling, Tastefully Simple, if anybody ever heard of that. Did a lot of different things, to kind of make some side money as I was staying at home with my kids, looking for that like flexible opportunity that so many of us do. Um, and then I ended up working at our church part-time as a children's director. And then at some point, my husband and I were like, I think that we need to, you know, do something more. And so I ended up going back to my previous employer at the electrical contractor, and I was hired as an executive assistant. But truth be told, I lasted a year. I hated being in the cubicle again, and the freedom and flexibility I had gotten used to as a stay-at-home mom just was non-existent. And taking time off to take them to dentist appointments and things like that just was not realistic. And so I knew at that point, I was like, there has to be a way for me to be able to do something like this from home. It was 2017. The internet was alive and well. There were things that, were available at that time to do. I just had to figure out a way to do it. And so at that point, I discovered you and the Virtual Savvy. I got on the email list and was doing all the research and all the things, and sort of, I would say, was in the planning stages of my business and was applying to different things and ended up contracting with Belay. They're an agency, and so I got on with them. And after about, let's see, this was summer of 2018, and then at the end of 2019, one of my clients through Belay decided they loved me so much they wanted to buy out my contract, which I was floored, and they hired me directly. And so I worked with them as a W-2 employee, part-time. It was about 25 hours a week, which was good because I still had young kids. And so I worked with them all total about 5.5 years. And then let's see, at some point it was kind of like clear that it was time for me to move on from there. And so I started looking for other jobs. This was like summer of 2023, I think, looking for other jobs, just something different. And I kept coming back to contract work. And I realized that's having my own, business again. And so I dug out all that stuff, all that research that I had done years prior. I had even planned my name the Detailed Way back in 2018, which is what I ended up calling my business. And
great name.
thank you. And so I launched, I joined the Savvy system in September of 2023. Once I realized this is what I want to do, I knew that I needed support. I needed that accountability. I needed someone to hold my hand through the setting up of my business. And so it was one of the best decisions that I've made in this journey, and launched my business in November and then got my first client in February of 2024. So it was a few months, the holidays in there and everything. And then just slowly over time, I've added clients, and, I've had a few clients that have left and some that, have jumped on here recently. So it's been a journey, and it's been so much fun, but also a lot of hard work and a lot of patience, and just the people I've met along the way have been just amazing to get to know other business owners and other VAs and learn from each other has really been huge.
Your story is so amazing, because I think that especially the beginning, probably a lot of people can resonate with just that, that flexibility. And you were like, okay, I know what I want, right? Like once I've tasted that flexibility, it's hard to get away from it. It's hard to go back, so that's really cool that you were really, really clear with what you wanted. And I think that that's a really good thing to pull, for anybody who's listening, no matter what stage of business you're in, and it shifts, right? Like we were literally just talking about that. We're like, well, now that you have this, what is it that you want, to kind of pivot and move into in the future still? And so really at any stage in your business, you've got to, even if you're working full-time and deciding if a VA business is right for you, you kind of have to do that, man, what is it that I want? What do I value? Where do I feel like I can, be the best version of myself at this point in my life, And so for some people that is like, man, I'm going to do this all in, replace my job, build a massive agency. Some people are like, man, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I would love to have, one client, or, and it looks different for every person. There's no necessarily right or wrong answer. So I love that you kind of found what you needed and just went after it. Were there any, like, if you can kind of pull back to, let's say 2013, Sheree, was there any moment that you kind of had any doubts or fears, or like, oh, is this gonna work, or anything like that you can remember? Like, what were some of the things going in your head that maybe thought, oh, can I really do this?
Do you mean like when I joined the Savvy system
Yeah.
or? Yeah. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of doubts. But I think I knew that I had the skills and I knew that I had at that point, I had I don't know if tenacity is the right word, but just like I had the drive. I was like, I'm going to make this work. I don't know how it's going to
Yeah.
look. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but this is what I want and I'm going to go after it. And with God at my side, we are he's going to show me the way. And so yeah, but certainly, and I still have doubts today, so that doesn't go away. And there's always a new challenge to overcome. And that's part of the exciting thing about owning your own business. And one thought that came to my mind while you were talking is just, you know, I feel like along the way, and we might get to this, so forgive me if I'm jumping ahead, but you really, like, at least for me, I've really sort of uncovered like what makes me tick and those things that I love doing, and like discovering that is so fun. Like you start out thinking, or I did anyway, I started out thinking I was going to go this direction, and then over time, I'm like, actually, I really love this. And I didn't even think that that was going to be one of my services. And so, um, yeah, it's just exciting to see kind of where the path leads. And I'm sure over time that might change again, but it's fun to such a like personal development um, journey as well, and like discovering who you are, and you get to choose. That's what's so awesome, is you get to choose who you work with, what you do. And so it really is about, building something that leans into your strengths and your passions. And I just love that.
So true. So true. I think that there's been more self-development since becoming an entrepreneur, because it is kind of you saying like, all right, I'm going to do this. I don't like this anymore. I'm going to pivot and do this. And that's, I think sometimes, especially for people more at the beginning part of their journey, like we just think we have to have it all figured out. It's like, I need to know the entire path. And when at any point of our life have we known the entire path, right? Like I certainly did it. Abby graduating, I know you have you've got teenage kids and kids, kind of moving into adulthood, and they have no idea what their life is going to look like 10 years from now. And sometimes I feel like we get to this phase where like, oh, I have to have it all planned out. It's like, no, we never did. We never did. Right. And so it's like just saying yes to the next thing or saying no to the next thing. So it moves you into that right path. And so I love that. I love your story. I am curious, because we always get people that are asking, and I see even a couple questions already popping up. How do I actually source clients? I often wonder this. What's the best way to attract clients? So from somebody who, I'd love to hear maybe how you got your first client. Did that change and shift over time? Where do where your most recent clients, where are you getting those from? That's always a top question. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about that client acquisition process.
Sure. Yeah. So first client, well, I'll just say like most of my clients I've gotten them a mix of different ways. I am in a couple of local networking groups. I have several clients through there. So definitely, encourage anyone to be active in their community, and get to know people, because even if they don't need your services, like they meeting people face to face and having that, personal interaction really speaks to your character and just being able to make those one-on-one face-to-face interactions. So that's one way. And then this, the savvy system, the savvy group, I've gotten several clients through applying to job ops here in the group. And then also Facebook groups, just interacting on Facebook groups. My most recent client, I literally just commented on her post in a Facebook group, and we connected on Instagram, and she booked a discovery call the next day. Like, that blew me away because that was the first time that has ever happened. And so really just being, being active, whether it's online or in person, applying to job ops, putting your best foot forward, adding value however you can, and just showing up and putting yourself out there again and again, because I went through tons and tons of discovery calls before getting my first client. So, if you're in that stage and you're struggling to find a client and you're getting on discovery calls and being rejected, like, hang in there, because it's hard. But I think, Abby, there was a call in the savvy system that I watched that was like, it's really a numbers game. Like, eventually someone will say yes. And so just keep going, and you get better over time. Like, I mean, my first proposal was, it's embarrassing, honestly. I'm like, how did I try to charge her that much for that? But I learned something. Every single time you learn something, and you grow and you get better.
That's so good. And it's so true. I hope you guys are all listening and absorbing this, because I totally agree. It's that, again, kind of going back to what you said earlier, like, when you just decide I'm going to do this, you just keep going till it works, right? Yeah. Like, there's just something in you like, I'm going to do this. So I will fail forward. I'm going to keep moving forward. And you get better. Every no is getting you closer to a yes, especially if you're teachable and you're learning from each one of those. And I like that you said, like, just stay active, because everything that you listed, right, whether it's networking events, engaging in Facebook communities, not just like lurking and searching, but engaging in them and actually applying to job ops with value first. All of those are like actual touch points, right? It wasn't just that I posted 5 times a week to my Facebook page. Maybe you do that too, and it's cool that somebody contacted you from the Instagram. But again, what sparked it was like an actual touch point. And I think that, I don't know, I think sometimes people get really scared to like do that, but it's in the relationships, right? And the more you just get out there and form more and more and more relationships, that's where those people are going to come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one other thing I want to say is that, like, don't discount those discovery calls that aren't necessarily a good fit, or that you feel like maybe, I don't, it's just, so I had a discovery call with someone, and I decided it wasn't a good fit for me, but he ended up referring 2 clients to me. So even though I didn't work with him, he's like, hey, he's a business coach. So he interacts with a lot of business owners who are looking to grow. And he sent 2 people my way. And so you just never know, like, what connections you're going to make that is going to impact your business in a positive way. I mean, that was really surprising to me when that happened. So
yeah. I had coffee with a friend who is a VA the other day. I think she's up to like 4 or 5 subcontractors now. And literally most of her clients have come from one person, right? Like, it's literally like one person just keeps referring her to all these people. Sorry, there's mowing right outside my window. I didn't know the mow schedule was today. But if you hear that, my apologies. But yeah, it's like, you never know like that one relationship that could spark so much. So just keep building relationships. So good.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious because we talked a little about value first, and for anybody who's maybe newer to our group, this is especially in the Savvy system, we drive this home, right? Value first, value first, value first. Like not just saying, if there's a job up online, not just saying, "Oh, I'm available, hi," but like really putting your best foot forward. What does that look like to you? Like, has there been a specific way that you have shown value first? I'd love to know that.
Yeah. So early on, when I was applying, I would, create social media graphics or, different things like that. But I sort of found myself feeling discouraged by the amount of time that it was taking me to do all of that. And I was at the point where I was like, I need a client now. And so I was like, what can I do to like make this easier on myself, but still provide value? And so I ended up making a video, an intro video of myself, like a 1 minute, 2 minute video. And I made it general at first so that I could just like plug and play and apply to a bunch of job ops without, the extra time of, I still personalized my email specifically to their business. I spent time looking at their website, learning a little bit about them so that I could speak to their business specifically. But the video was sort of generic, just an introduction of myself. And that helped me apply to more jobs more quickly because I had that piece of it ready to go. And then, there were times where I would, make a video specifically for that business owner when I sort of was applying to a little bit fewer positions, or, if there was somebody that I was like, yes, I really, really, really want to work with them, I would do a personalized one just for them. And so I don't know if that's the best way, but that's the way that I found that worked really well for me.
I think
And,
that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's so smart too. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate value first, right? Like it doesn't always have to be this big grand thing. Sometimes it is just something like you said, just that little bit of personalization or a video. I mean, people connect to people, right? And so if you were able to do a video, and I think that's so smart to make one that's generic so that you can send it to a lot of people, but that it still showed you and your personality and why. And it's anything. The big important thing about value first is how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else? Because if there's 50 people applying to the same job op, you've got to do something to stand out, right? And
Mhm.
personalization and a face, like that can go so far. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's
I mean, it's sort of a pre-interview, they get to see, who you are and hear your voice and your mannerisms. Like even just, a tiny bit, they might say, "Ooh, I wanna get to know more about her," or, "Yeah, she's not," and that's fine. Like, then we don't waste time getting on a discovery call if they know right off the bat, my hair is not what they want. I don't know, like,
whatever.
who knows?
I love that. I love that. So, what is something that you like? Is there anything that you've kind of learned on this journey that has been like, oh, I wouldn't do that again? Or, like what are the mistakes you made? What's something that you like, obviously we learned, so maybe not like you wish you didn't do because maybe you're happy you did it so that you learned, but is there anything that you're like, oh man, if I were starting from scratch again, this is something that I would maybe do differently? Mindset, practical, marketing, any of it, anything that you feel like
Mm.
you would maybe do differently?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of things. Nothing like jumps out at me right away. I mean, I did sort of allude earlier to a proposal I sent that was way too high. And, I kicked myself a lot for that because I felt like I probably could have gotten that job if I had been a little bit more realistic, but I just, you know, yeah, you learn over time, and I think there's others that I've sent that were too low that, I wish I would have asked for more upfront. So it's kind of a game, in that way, like, and pricing is so hard, you've mentioned that before. It's challenging to figure that out and get it right. So, um, and that's just something I think we learn over time, we get better with, but it also changes. So, um, I think I probably could have leaned into my community a little bit better in that instance,
Mhm.
and asked for some feedback instead of just moving forward. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Well, and you mentioned kind of rates, and that was somebody, I know this is always also another question that we get a lot of times, is how do you charge, and has that changed over time? Like, do you do hourly packages? Do you do it differently? Yeah, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely evolved for me. I started with hourly retainer packages, up to 10 hours, up to 20 hours a month, for this amount. And I've transitioned more into package prices. I still have some clients that are on that hourly, but hopefully by midsummer, I'll have all of them to package prices. In the beginning, I didn't like the idea of package prices, I'll be honest, because I felt like, well, then how do I quantify that? Like, I had a hard time wrapping my brain around that. But as I've gotten busier and worked with more clients, I've seen that, like, one, I'm getting faster at the things that used to take me a little bit longer for them. But also, I get to the end of the month and I'm like, oh, I still need to do this many hours for this client and this many hours for this client. And that's added to my stress level, to be honest, to have to make up those hours when, their social media is scheduled out and there's, maybe not necessarily anything that needs to be done, but I feel that, you have to fill those hours. And I've made that commitment to my clients that I will get those hours one way or another.
Yeah.
Well, and so I feel like I've shifted my viewpoint on that because of experiencing, and it's also a win for them. Like, they don't have to have the stress of, oh, I need to find more for her to do.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
I will
So
handle these things at this price, and then it doesn't matter how long it takes you to do it because they don't care
right.
if you worked 8 hours or 10 hours, if at the end of the day you got done what needed to get done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, and I think that, because we always have like a lot of newer people on these calls. So I think that it's important is that that was something that came over time. Like, you wouldn't have known in the beginning how long it would take you to do social media, to schedule someone's social media or something like that. So just know, like, there's nothing wrong with starting with hourly prices, by all
Right.
means. But then over time, that's one of those like little pivots, those little shifts that you'll start to see of like, oh, wait, like, I can turn this into package-based pricing, and I will get penalized for getting faster at my work because it took me less time, like you said.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I think that's like the exact right way to do it is start kind of with those hourlies. And then once you start doing, it's like the frustration points. Sometimes we think that those frustration points mean that we did something wrong, when in reality, it's hinting to you that it's time to like step into the next level of yourself and of your business,
Yeah.
right? It's like,
Mhm.
oh man, it's like over time, my, I remember like the very first business I had, my logo was so ugly. I didn't know. Like, the very first version, I was like, this is pretty good, I guess. And then over time, I'm like, oh, like, it became a stress point because it was time to level up, right? That didn't mean
Mm.
that there was anything wrong with the first one. It got me to where I was. So yeah, with your packages and your pricing, like, start here. And then over time, once it becomes a stress point, it's like, okay, it is time. It is time to figure
Mhm.
out how to do package-based pricing. I love that.
Yeah. And I'll say just a little tip, ChatGPT has become my best friend when it comes to packages. I will tell it what what I'm going to do for the client, what hourly rate I want to have, and it it's just amazing. So
So amazing.
just a friendly tip for anyone that wants help with that, ask ChatGPT.
Okay. ChatGPT and I were chatting this weekend about like the flowers. Well, okay, I'm not a gardener at all, like at all. I want to like grow like 3 things in my yard that I'm not going to kill. So I'm like, what grows well in Missouri that is really resistant or resilient, because I'm bad at killing things, and I think I want to plant something in a pot. That way it's like,
Yeah.
and here's your watering schedule. And I'm like literally, this is just
Yeah.
so wonderful. I literally use ChatGPT every single day.
Yeah, it's helping me redecorate my office right now. Like it will, if
Nice.
you put a picture in and say, give me some ideas with this vibe, blah, 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 it'll give you a whole like generated photo of what you can put in that space. My best friend and I have been having entirely too much fun and wasting entirely too much time decorating our homes with ChatGPT.
Yeah,
So
that is
there's
the
another tip for you.
I will say sometimes you can get sucked down the rabbit hole.
Yes,
for sure. Okay, so I know that you have, especially like the past few months, you've been starting to be like, okay, I'm working a lot of hours. Again, you came into a stress point where you're like, I am working too much. And that doesn't mean that it was wrong what got you here, but you realized it's time. It's time to start, passing off some of the work and getting a subcontractor. So, one of the questions, let me find it here in the chat. How would you go about hiring a subcontractor if you don't have enough clients for full time, but have too many clients to take on more? So basically, just that idea of navigating subcontracting, from knowing when it's time to pricing and all of that. Can you talk a little bit to just the concept of subcontracting and how you're navigating it?
Yeah. So this was something I had been thinking about for a couple of months, feeling like maybe it was time, but not totally sure, and really not sure what it would look like. I went back and watched one of the lessons about hiring a subcontractor in the Savvy system, and there's kind of that two ways of thinking, I guess, where you are hiring someone you maybe know, or someone that's a stay-at-home mom that's just looking for a little extra income, or you're hiring a fellow VA that wants to make this their business. And so I was sort of like, I don't know, like what I want to do, but at the time it felt a little overwhelming to me to like be training someone like over everything, um, and like somebody that's not, a VA already. And so to me, it was a better fit to choose someone that was already looking to make this their business, that, was invested in learning the platforms, and also for me, someone that I could like be a resource to, as someone a little bit further ahead, to just like pour into that person as well. And so I just scoured the group, honestly, the Savvy System group, and looked at everyone's portfolios and sent a few emails, and ended up hiring someone in the Savvy System group. So I wasn't like, I didn't want to post the job app out and get a ton of emails, because I just felt like that was going to just take more time than I was willing to invest. And so yeah, that's another benefit to the group, I feel like, is just having a large group of business owners to interact with, in that way. So that's how I went about it.
I love that. I love that. And like, so for you, it was also, as far as when to hire, it was kind of like you were feeling a stress point of, I'm working too many hours.
Yeah, and I would say too, like I was starting to feel nervous about my client, um what's the word? Like um just like how I was serving my clients. I was nervous that things were going to fall through the cracks or that, I couldn't keep up and therefore my ability of serving them and what was, super important to me is serving them and serving them well and communicating and all of those things. And so I was sort of like feeling that pressure of a ball is going to drop if I don't get somebody in here to help me
mm,
take some of these things off my plate.
yeah. Mm. No, that totally makes sense. I had a question. I forgot what it was. So with what I like about your story is that I think that, you know, with anything, guys, I mean, in the free content that the Virtual Savvy puts out in YouTube videos or blogs, or if you're a Savvy System student or a Savvy Vault student, um, and even like with courses or coaching programs I've been a part of, there's always like, hey, here's a best practice, here's the way to go about it, here's this. But like you always need to come back to what's true to you, right? And you follow the best practice and then you kind of make it your own, right? And because your journey is different. And so I forget who it was that was asking about subcontracting. Like, I'm not quite at that 40 hours yet. Is that okay? It's like, yeah, it's okay. Like there's no, in my journey, I started a VA business when I was pregnant. And so I was like, I'm like already planning my first vacation because I'm not going to work for a few weeks at least with my second child. I feel like first child, I needed a lot of time. Second child, 3 weeks. And I was like, I'm good. Which is terrible, but I probably should have rested more, but it was what it was. But I at least had, a 21 to 30 something day vacation coming up while I'm building a business. So it was like, I need a subcontractor from day one, right? Nothing wrong with that. Some people, like when they're like halfway debt or if they're working full time, it's like, well, I can literally only work 10 hours a week and I need to make more than that to replace my job. So you fill your 10 hours and then you've got a subcontract early. Sometimes people never subcontract, right? They like make the amount of income that they want, working the hours they want, and you're like, I'm good. So there really, I don't think is a like right or wrong time to subcontract. It's just kind of what are your goals? What are your stress points right now, right? Where do you envision? Do you want a team? And then kind of navigating it from there. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. And, um, I definitely think I probably could have hired someone sooner. But, I wanted to also have some systems in place and know what I was handing off to that person and not be trying to figure it out as they
Yeah.
were coming on, which there's still things that we're figuring out. But, you know, knowing what I'm doing clearly enough that I can then pass those things off too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's awesome.
mhm.
Isn't it fun to like create a job for somebody else too?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it
it's
is.
like so cool. Like you've
It is.
created enough income that you can help somebody else have income. I just think that's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's rewarding. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Congratulations for that. Seriously, it's a big deal.
Thank you. Thanks.
Um, how would you navigate the fear? Look into the questions here in the chat of a current VA taking your clients if you go that route. Is there any thoughts about that, or do you have any like contracts, anything in place for that?
Yeah, I use the Savvy System, subcontractor agreement, which speaks to that in there. I think that for me, like, yes, it would be devastating if that were to happen, but I can't, like, get caught up in worrying about that. And, hopefully you are able to vet your subcontractor well enough that you can trust that they're not gonna do that. things happen. People make poor decisions. We don't have control over that. But I don't want to spend my time worrying about that. I just want, and hopefully I'm providing an environment for them that they won't want to do that. Like they'll just want to work with me and what other clients they're able to get on their own. And so I would just say, just be a great manager, and protect yourself with the agreement, and then not try not to worry about it.
I love that answer. That was perfect. Very well said. Yep, you do what you can to protect yourself, and then you just gotta move forward, knowing that sometimes bad things do happen, and you get through them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've found somebody really awesome. So, okay, let's end with this. I have one more question for you. What is one piece of advice you would give to somebody kind of exploring the idea of virtual assistants or just getting started?
Be patient with yourself. Be in community, find an accountability partner or multiple partners, and just continue to, there was a saying when I was young, like, if you fall off the horse, just get back on. Like, just keep going, and returning to your why is huge. And, ask for help when you need it. Be patient with yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take care of yourself, and keep going.
Yeah. Oh,
You got it.
so good. So good. Well, Sheree, thank you. This was awesome. And
Thank you. This
I
was
really
fun.
enjoyed chatting with you. And I think everybody in the comments, give a big shout out, because it's not easy to come on live in front of everybody, but you did wonderful. You're a pro.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind everybody too, I saw one of the last questions was kind of like, how do I get started? How do I know, like, if I have the skills to do this right? Like, I don't like customer service. What can I do? Well, we have a free training coming up, thevirtualsavvy.com/5skills, because I'm going to be teaching you the 5 essential skills that you need to start a VA business. They are likely skills that you already know how to do, but if you're kind of like, what should I be doing in my VA business? What are the most basic skills that clients are looking for? We're going to teach them to you in this training. So make sure that you join that. That is happening, I believe, next week. So it's coming up really, really soon. Everyone's giving you amazing compliments in the chat. Thank you so much. This has been really, really great. And everybody, I will see you in that upcoming training. Thanks again, Cheri.
Thanks, Abby. Thanks, everyone.